If you get paid $1,000 a week in your bank account, but you spend $400 on rent or your mortgage, $250 on groceries, $100 on petrol and parking at work, another $100 on bills like electricity and water, maybe $100 on Uber Eats, brunches and Netflix, well, that only leaves you with $50 left to invest and build your wealth for the future, and you're probably just using that to survive until the next payday. And if you decide to go for a road trip over the weekend or stay in a nice Airbnb, that $50, well, it's not lasting very long. Now, why has this happened? Why are you left with nothing at the end of the week? Well, it's probably because you don't have a paycheck routine. And if you keep doing that every payday for the next 10 years, you're probably not going to get ahead financially. Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. I'm Ed, an economist and property investor here at Opus Partners. And I used to be broke, so I want to share the 5 steps that I've used to get ahead and make my money work for me. Now, everyone else on YouTube tells you that you need to create a spreadsheet so you can budget, divide your wants and your needs, and itemize every little thing. Well, the reality is, even if I tell you to do that, you're probably not going to. So back when I was 23, I was terrible with my money. I got paid every fortnight and I felt super rich for the first 3 or 4 days. I'd buy lunch at work, go out for dinner, maybe grab a few drinks, you know the vibe. But by the end of the pay cycle, I was just scraping together a couple of coins to buy some 2-minute noodles. And every time I promised myself I'd do better the next time, surprise, surprise, I didn't. And it wasn't that I didn't earn enough, it's just that I didn't have a system for how to manage my money to make it last. And so money would come in, and then it felt like it disappeared straight away. And even if I tried to budget, honestly, I just found it really hard to stick to having that money in my account. So instead of budgeting, start automating your money instead, which is literally why step 1 is to stop budgeting. Do away with the spreadsheets if they don't work for you and start bucketing and automating your money instead. So one study from the University of Chicago showed that you don't need a mathematically perfect financial plan. Using good rules of thumb, that can get you just as close. And one of my favorite rules of thumb is the bucket system that comes from the Barefoot Investor. He's an Australian author. Now, under his model, when you get paid, you leave 60% of your money in your blow account, and that just goes to your rent, your mortgage, food, petrol bills, any of your needs. 10% goes to your splurge account. That's for guilt-free spending, things like clothes, drinks, takeout, movies. It's for fun, and you should use it. 10% goes to your smile account, which is where you save up for things like holidays or that Airbnb road trip I told you about before. And 20% of your money goes to your fire extinguisher account. And that's where you pay off debt or you set aside that money to invest. And I still actually call my actual bank accounts blow, splurge, smile, and fire extinguisher today, which always raises the bank's eyebrows every time I go and apply for a mortgage because they want to know what the blow money gets spent on. Now, you can play around with the exact percentages, but as soon as you get paid, you need to automatically transfer that money into the right account and have a separate debit card for each of them. Because here's the truth. Most people, they just spend whatever's sitting in their bank account. Look, it's human nature. So instead of saying, I'm going to change that, I'm going to stick to a spreadsheet, I say just work with what you've got, work with your human nature, transfer some of that money out of your account automatically so you don't get that feeling I had of being rich at the start of your pay cycle and poor at the end of it. Step 2 is to set up your silent salary. Now, if you take that 20% of your money that you're going to be investing and you buy an asset like a share in Coca-Cola or an investment property, well, if that then goes up in value, you've earned money, you've built some wealth, and you haven't had to work for it. So I always think of this as my silent salary because I didn't have to go to work to make it happen. And unless you're checking your account, your KiwiSaver, your shares, your properties, unless you're checking those values every single second, it's probably quietly just going up and down and up in value in the background. Now, to create that salary, we've actually got to be investing. We actually need to put aside that 20% of your money and do something with it. And I say that because if you just spend all your money today, you're probably going to have a great life, but it's going to be a little bit harder tomorrow because we haven't taken care of future you. So for me, I aim to put aside over 20% of my money, and I set aside $800 a week for investing. This money automatically comes out of my ASB account and goes straight into a Westpac account that I don't look at. I don't have a cash flow card or a debit card for in my wallet, and that's because I don't want to touch it. Now, hey, I do want to call out that I know that $800 a week is actually a lot of money. First of all, I'm really lucky that I earn a good amount of money, but I'm also challenging myself to invest a lot before I have kids, because I know for a fact my life is going to get lots more expensive. So I need to invest a lot today while my expenses are low. Now, right now, that money is helping me build a portfolio of 5 investment properties. And I treat those properties going up in value as my silent salary. So if just one of them goes up by 5% over the next year, that could be an extra $30,000 in extra wealth that I didn't have to work for. And across the portfolio, I'm really likely to come out with much more than the money I'm putting in. And yes, I've got to contribute some money to those properties since interest rates are high and the rent doesn't always cover the costs, but that's part of it. And if you want to see more of these what to do with your money type videos, do me a quick favor and hit the like button. That's how I know what videos you want to see more of, and honestly, it just helps the YouTube algorithm. Subscribing, that helps too. We are over halfway of our goal to grow this channel, this community, to 50,000 subscribers. So you're setting aside some money each time you get paid, and one thing that can get in your way is this pesky piece of plastic. It's your credit card. Because if you overspend and you treat yourself to that new pair of shoes or the Airbnb weekend away, how easy is it to just whip out this, put it on your credit card, and then maybe you pay it off by transferring back some of that money that you put into your fire extinguisher account, your investment account. It's way too easy, and I've been there too. So one of the monsters that make you overspend is the fact that you just use the credit card. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, oh, but Ed, I'm really smart. I spend on my credit card, I get the points, and then I pay off the credit card really quickly, and I never pay any interest. So I'm smart, I'm beating the credit card company. No, you're not. Because the downside of credit cards isn't just the interest, but the fact that you do end up spending more. So this study from MIT, it showed that when you use a credit card, you don't feel the same pain as if you were actually just spending your own money. And so you step on the gas and you spend more than if you just used a regular debit card and were spending the cash in your bank account. It even activates your brain's reward system and lights up the same parts of your mind that addictive drugs like cocaine do. And the effect is that it makes you addicted to spending. So even though I only had a small kind of $5,000 limit, after reading that study, I walked into the bank, held this up and said, cancel it. And the fact that you don't want to cancel your credit card kind of shows you just how addictive it is. So once you've created some money to invest and you've protected it from your credit card, you've got to decide what you're going to do with it. Now, you can either start a stocks or shares portfolio, and you might use a site like Sharesies to invest in a low-cost index fund. Now, if you were to put aside $200 a week at a 6% return for 30 years, you'd end up with over $872,000. And you could use this calculator yourself for free to see how wealthy you could be in the future. Now, as you guys know, I like to invest in property. And the way I estimate the cash flow and what those properties could be worth in the future is by using Opus Plus. I actually created this myself and I'm giving it away for free forever for our community because there wasn't a good tool in the past that was online that you could use to figure out, well, what is the cash flow going to be for my rental properties in New Zealand? So created this myself for you guys. Now, with this property, it's currently worth $620,000, and if I hold it for 15 years, it could be worth almost $1.3 million. That's if it goes up by 5% a year. I also use this to figure out, well, how much do I need to top up the mortgage by each week, which is where some of that money in my fire extinguisher account is going. Now, after we've automated our money, freed up some of it to invest, cut up the credit card and are investing for the long term, the main thing is just to keep doing it. Because if you keep investing, whether it's in shares or property, and you do it consistently over many years, you'll either do okay or be really wealthy. And it's not about being perfect. You know, the people who build wealth aren't out there with spreadsheets for everything and a perfect 100-step system. Building wealth isn't about being the smartest or even having the flashiest strategy. It's about being consistent with the basics week in, week out. So if you're ready to take control of your money and build up that silent salary, start today. Set up your buckets, cancel the credit card, automate the transfer, and let your money do the heavy lifting. Because this felt really good.